the book is a whole other thing because it's an attempt for me to understand, for myself and Joe, to understand why the news media in America has done such a miserable job of educating the American people, and and when you get so frustrated as a journalist, seeing all the nonsense that's put out in the name of journalism, it's like, and all the garbage that's put out on a daily basis, and you say, well, why is it like this? Why is it so difficult to do good journalism in the United States? And especially, why is it that people of color are treated so badly? You would think, well, there was the civil rights movement, we got Obama as president, got all this other stuff. That the nonsense is still there in terms of the daily journalism. So what I realized, even though I spent 35 years in the industry and in the profession, I did not understand the system of news in America. And none of the books, and I've read a lot of the books on analyzing journalism and analyzing the industry. There's a lot of good books, but none of them try to figure it out in a systemic way. So Joe and I decided, because we were doing some research anyway back in 2002, that we were going to try to put together a book that explained two things: race, how does race function in the American media system, and two, how is the system constructed? That's the key thing. How is the system of media constructed in the United States? We can't talk about other countries, but I think the lessons are similar. And so that's what I think is a big contribution of the book. It's a whole. It's not just about. Yeah, we talk about journalists of color, about the Latino press, the black press, the Asian, and how they developed and all that stuff. But the real contribution of the book is that we have an analysis now of how our media system got to be where it was, which also then provides you sort of an understanding of what needs to be done to change it. And the main thing that we concluded, one, is that the role of technology has been underestimated in the development of information and news in America. That in fact, technology has constantly been a revolutionary and destabilizing force in the American system of news. That every time a new technology develops, it upsets the existing order of the media. And then the government has to step in and try to figure out what are the new rules by which news and information will flow. So we go a lot into the development of the postal system, because the postal system was the first internet. The United States postal system was the first internet for America. The key thing is to understand technology is a destabilizing force. It destabilizes the existing order. Government has to step in. But when the government has to step in, huge battles break out between all the people who are interested in that. The owners, the old media owners, the new media entrepreneurs, the citizens, minority groups, the journalists. Everyone has a stake in the battle. And sometimes they get some pro-people things, sometimes not. But that's how the system got to be where it is. Government policy in reaction to technological change in a debate over how does news and information flow in a democracy. That's the essential sort of like thrust of the entire system. Once you understand how the system operates, you have a better handle on how to change it, and what you cannot do is you can't sit on the sidelines as a journalist and say, oh, I'm only concerned about my job, I'm only concerned about, am I going to get a better paying job, or, because if you do that, you cede the policy decisions to others, and the journalists have to be aware of how the industry is constructed, and they have to be involved in the decisions that affect their lives, their livelihood, because it affects your life and your livelihood, how the system develops. I mean, Yahoo News today is more important and has more employees than the New York Times, in terms of how its reach. Google, these are the powers of the media today. Google, Yahoo, Comcast, Verizon. Comcast bought NBC. How did Comcast buy NBC? Remember, NBC is NBC, Telemundo, Universal Pictures, all that stuff. Comcast bought them. And so, NBC is now just a subsidiary of Comcast. Cablevision bought Newsday out of Long Island. Huge paper. Cablevision just bought them up. Why? Because they have all the money. All the money is in the cable companies and in the phone companies. The Verizons and the AT&Ts and the smartphone folks. That's where the money is in the media today. And they are the new powerhouses of the media. And so, we're trying to lay out how the system has got to be where it is today, so that the journalists, the community leaders, the political leaders, see that choices are made which result in the kind of system that we have today.